What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and for today's video, it's been a while since I have decided to tamper with this deck, but I am going to be doing an update on an updated deck profile on my Morphtronic deck. Yes, you heard me right, an updated Morphtronic deck profile. With the new support that we just got, I think in the next Legendary Duelist set, and also in and also with the new cards that will be released in Battles of Legend Crystal Revenge, I figured that it would be pretty cool to do an update on this deck and just give you guys my thoughts on it. You know, just explain the deck and give my thoughts on whether or not it's pretty good. But honestly, judging by how long it took me to get this deck right, I think it's pretty decent. By the way, by the way, shoutouts to Brisk for the pink lemonade. Not sponsored. It's just that pink lemonade, best lemonade ever. Don't at me in the comments. Do not at me in the comments. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, truth be told, but anyway, what's cool about this deck is that not only does it utilize some of the new cards that were released in the upcoming Legendary Duelist set and of course Battles of Legend Crystal Revenge, it also utilizes another card that I believe was released in Dimension Force, which I'll explain that once we get into the extra deck. But hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. If you guys are, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and be sure to follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram, because I always post the deck lists on my Instagram. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it. Kicking things off, we have a single copy of Morphtronic Scanning. This is actually one of the more... This is basically the Cyber Dragon for the whole deck. So the effect reads: cannot be normal summon or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing one other Morphtronic monster from your hand. And of course too, just like all the other Morphtronics, this one has effects based on what its battle position is. So if it's in attack position, the effect reads: once per turn, you can add one Morphtronic spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and place a card from your hand on top of the deck. This basically lets you manipulate your top draw. Excuse me. So you can add cards, you know, cards such as excuse me, like Double Tool C and D. Excuse me. Morphtronic Accelerator, or pretty much just any card that they want. So you can go into your synchro plays, even your link plays if you run any in your extra deck. And for me, I am running 3, unfortunately. But not only that, but what's even more cool is that the way they worded the effect, it's basically a 1-for-1 where you can basically thin out the deck by adding a Morphtronic spell or trap, which could be the Accelerator, it could be the Cord, Double Tool C and D, the Force Field, or even also Morphtronic Bind, or even the Monotron, all of which I am running in the deck, which I'll get to that later on in the video. And then just manipulating your draw. It's essentially a 1-for-1 of sorts. And then the effect, when it's in defense, reads: once per turn, you can add a level 4 lower Morphtronic monster from your grave to your hand, then place a card from your hand on top of the deck. So it really doesn't matter what you add from your grave, or whether you add cards from your grave or from your deck. Either way, you're manipulating your draw, so you can go into your you're basically manipulating your deck to where you can go into some of your synchro plays. And I just realized something. Hang on, guys. I just realized that there was a card that I wanted to implement in this deck, but I never really could. So I'm gonna search it out while I'm gonna try and search it. Synchro. I think I want 12. 12-star Synchro. TCG, OCG. All and such. I literally just realized there was a card that I wanted to implement in this deck, but never could. Yeah, this was the one. Alright, so instead of doing 2 links, doing 3 links, I am only going to be doing 2. I'm going to replace it with you. Because I just realized because I realized the card is actually pretty good. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, finally got it figured out. Okay, we're good. We're good, everybody. We're good. But anyway, basically, again, this is basically Spelltrap Rhoda Monster Reincarnation of sorts, just at the cost of pitching a card from your hand back on top of your deck. Basically, you're manipulating your next draw. Basically, next up we have 3 copies of Morphtronic Staple, and this is another card that's basically like one of the bread and butters of the whole deck. So again, just like all the other Morphtronics, this one has effects depending on its battle position. With this one, when it's in attack position, your opponent cannot select other monsters as an attack target. If this card is destroyed by battle, the monster that destroyed it, the monster that destroyed this monster loses 300 attack. Basically, it's sort of like a Black Pendant, but in the form of a machine. And then while it's in defense, if this card is attacked, after damage count, select the face-up attack position monster your opponent controls, change it to defense. So it's sort of like a zero gravity for the whole deck, which is really nice. Plus this card and Scannon makes a 12. And there's one, and I realized that there was a card in here that I wanted to make, that I wanted to add to the extra deck that was level 12. There was one, and that was Final Sigma, because Sigma is actually pretty decent. Next up we have 2 copies of Morphtronic Boom Boxin. This card is actually kind of crazy because the effect, while it's in attack, is that it can make a second attack. It can make a second attack during the battle phase. So this is basically a 4-star version of Cyber I'm trying to think of the name. Cyber Twin Dragon. This is basically the Cyber Twin Dragon for the whole deck, and it also has a built-in negation, or I guess rather battle phase negate, sort of like a threatening roar of sorts, where when it's in defense, once per turn it says when a face-up Morphtronic monster controller is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack. This is basically a threatening roar, which is really nice. Next up, we have 2 copies of Morphtronic Radion. This is actually a really cool one, because when it's in attack position, all Morphtronic monsters you have, including himself, gain 800 attack. Basically, he becomes an 1800 beat stick, which is really nice. But when it's in defense, all Morphtronic monsters that they control gain 1000 defense. So it could become an 1800 attack beat stick or a 1900 defense booty, depending on how you see it. And plus two, the main focus is just all synchros, where as opposed to my last build, I ended up implementing the Utopia package with Utopia the Lightning. I ended up adding Super Dora, which was okay. And then, of course, 2 Ascension Sky Dragon, which wasn't too bad. This build wasn't too bad, but it was only because of the fact that I was running cards such as the Story Mirror Force, which didn't really work out so well. The Upstart Goblin, which was okay, and the Morphtronic map, which really does nothing to the deck, especially given the fact that you have cards such as Scannon and also too the Monster Reborn to bring your cards back onto the board, which is really cool. Next up, we have 2 copies of Morphtronic Scopin. This is basically your marauding captain for the whole deck. So while it's in attack position, you're allowed to summon a level 4 Morphtronic monster from your hand, but you must destroy it during the end phase. This works in conjunction with cards such as Staple, Boomboxin, and Radion to help go into your FA Don Dragster, your Power Tool Mecha Dragon, or even also your Power Tool Dragon as well, just to help go into the Power Tool Braver Dragon, which I will explain its effect and why it's so damn good in this deck, which is really cool. And then while it's in defense, he basically becomes level 4, which could help you go into a level 8 play if you wanted. But I don't have any level 8 other than Livestream Dragon. So if you were to have, let's say, I'll say Selphon. Let's say you have Selphon, Scopin, and Radion. That's 8, 9. You can basically go into Vermilion Dragon Mech, or if you have Scopin, Radion, and let's say double Selphon, you can also go into Alive Justice Decisive Armor, which is actually a really, really powerful play. Right there was really cool. Next up, we have Morphtronic Remoten, which is kind of an interesting one. So while it's in attack position, once per turn, you can target 1 Morphtronic monster in your grave, banish that target, and add a Morphtronic monster with the same level as the target from your deck to your hand. This is basically the Stratos for the whole deck to help you go into your link plays. You can even also go into the brand new Morphtronic Synchro, which I'll get to that in a little bit once we get into the extra deck. And then while it's in defense, you can send a Morphtronic monster from your hand to the grave and add 1 other Morphtronic monster with the same level from your graveyard to your hand. So it can either be a Stratos or a monster reincarnation, helping you dig even deeper into your plays. And not only that, you can also recycle the cards off of Ramon's effect, using Accelerator to not only bounce that monster back into your deck, but you get to pop a card on your opponent's field and draw 1 card. So this basically comes as a... So with Accelerator, it basically comes as a 2-for-2, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool to say the very least. Next up, we have 1 copy of Morphtronic Lantron. This is actually a really interesting card because if you guys remember in the anime, Leo had used this, and I believe it had an effect based on what based on its battle position, I think it was while it was in defense, if it landed on like green, you gain life points. If it landed on yellow, you're basically screwed. Which is kind of stupid, but apparently they decide, nah, that's just way too good. We'll give it an effect where it involves battle damage instead. So while it's in attack position, any effect damage you would take from an opponent's card effect is inflicted to your opponent instead. So it's basically a Magic Cylinder Wing Karibo. And so what I mean by that is Magic Cylinder, any effect damage gets redirected back to your opponent, which they could end up losing the game for all we know. The Wing Karibo effect, when Lantron is to be destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you take no damage. Wing Karibo has the exact same effect, which is absolutely hilarious. And not only that, but you can also use Lantron as tuner fodder to go into the FA Dawn Dragster or even the Coral Dragon as well. And I just realized I'm running 2 Coral Dragons. I don't need 2. I need only 1. Excuse me. So I think I need another searching, unfortunately. I apologize, guys. I didn't realize what I had done with the deck. So, let's see. I think... Let's see. Yeah, I think that one might do it. Let's see. Or, you know what? I have a better idea. Let's try this. Okay, never mind. Alright, yeah. Alright, yeah. You know what? That just might do the trick. Anyway, sorry guys, I ended up having to make yet another addition to the deck. I apologize, and I'll get to that here in a bit. Next up, we have 2 copies of Morphtronics Smartphone. This card is actually kind of an interesting card because the effect reads, cannot be normal summon or set, must first be special summon from your hand by banishing a Morphtronic monster from your graveyard. While in attack position, once per turn, you can roll a 6-sided die, excavate that many cards from the top of the deck, add 1 excavated Morphtronic card to your hand, and shuffle the rest back into the deck. While in defense, roll a 6-sided die, look at that many cards from the top of your deck, and place them on either the top or the bottom of the deck in any order. So this basically just lets you not only search out cards from your deck, but it also helps you manipulate your draws. Your next 1 to 6 draws, allowing you to go into some of your major plays, into some of the major synchro plays that you may have at your disposal, which is really cool. Next up, we have another new addition to the deck. 2 copies of Morphtronic Telephone. This is actually a really cool one. So the effect reads, while in attack position, roll a 6-sided die, and if you do, gain life points equal to the result times 100. So if you rolled like let's say a 6, you basically can gain up to 600 life points, which isn't too bad. Then you can special summon a Morphtronic monster from your graveyard whose level is equal to or lower than the result. So if you end up rolling a 6, as an example, you can basically just summon any. You can basically just summon out any of the Morphtronic monsters you may have including Scanning, which would basically give you access to summon out. Which would basically give you access to summon out the Staple in, and then to just go into the smartphone, and you can basically just summon Final Sigma, which is really cool. Let's see. While in defense, you can roll 6-sided die, excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the result, and if you do, you can send one excavated Morphtronic card to your grave. Place the rest on the top or bottom of the deck in any order. So again, just like Smartphone, this card also manipulates your next few draws, but it also gives you access to just Foolish Burial, one of your Morphtronic cards, which would basically give you access to summon Smartphone as well, which is really cool. And then to round out the Morphtronic monsters, we have 3 copies of Cell Phone, which lets you roll a 6-sided die, and if it were to be in attack position, you can reveal that many cards, and then special summon a low or lower Morphtronic monster from among them, and then just shuffle the rest back into the deck. But if it were to be in defense position and you roll the 6-sided die, you basically get to look at the top cards of your deck equal to the result and put them back on top of the deck in the same order. So it basically just allows you to strategize what your next few plays are going to be just off of Cell Phone alone, which is really cool. And then of course, to round out the monster, we have 2 Ash Blossom, because obviously Ash Blossom is going to be a pain in the ass for your opponent. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the monsters. For the spells, we've got the 3 Morphtronic Accelerator. As I said before, you get to compulse one of your Morphtronic monsters back into your deck. Shuffle it, pop a card on your opponent's board, draw 1 card. It essentially comes as a sort of a, I guess, a 3 for 1. I guess you could say, which isn't too bad. Helps you. It would basically help you thin out the deck even further, which is really nice. We got the 1 Monster Reborn. Dare I say more about Monster Reborn? Then, of course, we have 2 copies of Morphtronic Convert Unit. This is another new addition to the deck, and the effect reads: target 1 machine monster you control. Apply this effect based on its battle position. Attack. Obviously, special summon a Morphtronic monster with a different name from your deck, and then place the targeted monster on top of the deck. Defense. Change it to attack position, and if you do, special summon a low for a lower machine from your hand. So this basically lets you special summon from your hand or your deck. So this is basically the Cyber Ref system of the entire deck, of the whole deck, basically, to help you go into your synchro plays or even your link plays, depending on what you want to summon, which is really nice. We got the 2 Cosmic Cyclone for obviously back row removal. We have the 3 copies of Double Tool C and D, which actually is really cool, which is kind of a cool one, because its effect reads equip only to a Power Soul Dragon or a level 4 lower or higher, machine Morphtronic you control. While equipped, during your turn, it gains 1,000 attack. If it attacks, any effects of the attack target that activates or apply on the field are negated during the battle phase. During your opponent's turn, your opponent cannot select a monster other than the equipped monster as an attack target. An opponent's monster that battles the equipped monster is destroyed at the end of the damage step. So this basically becomes a way to break your opponent's board if they have no outs to it. So if they don't have an out to it, like say like I'll say back row removal, such as a Cosmic Cyclo or a Twin Twister or whatever, then this card can be extremely annoying against your opponent, which is pretty gnarly. Then, of course, we have 2 copies of Morphtronic Cord. This actually is one of the most broken cards in the format, because its effect reads, equip only to a Morphtronic monster. Each time the equipped monster's battle position is changed, destroy a spell trap on the field. This basically gives you access. This basically becomes another version of Cosmic Cyclone, but just at the cost of switching the monster's battle position, which is pretty cool. And then to round up the spells, we have 2 copies of Mage Power, obviously because of the fact that you have a grand total of, 23 spells and traps? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, basically you have 23 spells and traps. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of damage to your opponent. Moving on into the traps, there are 8 of them. We have 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, obviously for negation. 2 copies of Morphtronic Impact Return. This is another new card. I believe will be released in, I want to say, Battles of Legend Crystal Revenge. So the effect reads, target up to 2 spells and traps your opponent controls. Shuffle 1 Morphtronic monster from your hand into the deck, and if you do, shuffle the targeted cards into the deck. You can banish the card from your grave. Then target one of your Morphtronic monsters that is banished or in your grave. Special summon it in defense. Basically, this is sort of your back, it's kind of like back row removal, but it also acts as a different dimension of reincarnation. / Monster Reborn. And what I mean by that is that you can either reborn your own Morphtronic monster, or you can target one of your Morphtronic monsters that are banished and summon it. That is basically what I mean, which is actually pretty good. It's pretty good, especially if you want to go into your synchro plays. This card just basically enables it, if you will, which is really cool. And then for the rest of the traps, we have the Morphtronic Monotron. This is actually a really cool one, because the effect reads, when a Morphtronic monster is summoned, you can change it to face up defense. So what's cool about this card? So what's cool about this card is that you can switch your monster's battle position to trigger off their own to trigger their defense position effect, if you will. So if you were to summon Radion, you can activate the Monotron, switch it to defense, and it becomes a 1900 defender, which is pretty cool. We have also the 1 copy of Morphtronic Bind, which is actually cool because the funny thing about this is that it's basically Gravity Bind. So the effect reads, while I control a face of Morphtronic monster, all level 4 or higher monster your opponent controls cannot attack or change their battle position. So this is sort of like Gravity Bind, Shadow Spell of sorts, where you can basically prevent your opponent from conducting their battle phase, and also their battle positions cannot be changed, which is insane. And then to round up the main deck, we have 2 copies of Morphtronic Force Field, which is basically the Infernity Barrier for the whole deck. So Infernity Barrier Infernity Barrier, when your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect while you control a face-up attack position Infernity monster and you have no cards in your hand, negate the activation and destroy it. Basically, Force Field is the exact same way. Negate the activation of a spell trap that would destroy a face-up Morphtronic monster you control, and destroy it. Add 1 Morphtronic card from your deck to your hand. So this is basically an Infernity Barrier Stratos, basically, which is insane. Absolutely insane. moving on into the extra deck, I'm going to go from links to synchro because that's how I want to do it for this one. For the links, we have a single copy of Link Karibo. Obviously, because of the fact that you've got the Lantron, you got the Smartphone, the Telephone, and the Cellphone. Basically, any one of those you can make Link Karibo really easily. And what's even more cool is that you can tribute one of your level 1s to resummon Link Karibo back onto the field. So you basically have like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's as if you have like 9 Link Karibos in your deck, which is pretty gnarly to say the very least. And then of course we've got the one Crystron Halka Fibrax, obviously to summon out the Coral Dragon, and of course another new addition to the deck that I didn't realize how good it was until just now when I was switching up the deck. So I do apologize for that, but it's still pretty cool. Now for the brand new Morphtronic Synchro, it is known as Morphtronic Earphone, which if you guys never saw me talk about this card on the channel, it's a 4-star Earth Machine Synchro with 1200 attack and 1800 defense, and it requires a tuner and a non-tuner. A monster equipped with this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target one face-up monster on the field. It is treated as a tuner this turn. You can target one single monster on the field, equip this card from your field or grave to it. You can basically just equip Earphone to fucking Power Tool Dragon, and then just equip Power Tool Dragon with Double Tool C and D, and of course to the Mage Power, and you essentially just have a very powerful monster on board, which is insane. Then of course we have the one copy of Shooting Riser Dragon. This is a card I did not think it would be this good in the deck, but after looking at it even further, just now, of course, I realized this card is actually not too bad. So the effect of Shooting Riser Dragon reads, if this card is synchro summon, you can send one monster from your deck to the grave whose level is lower than this card's on the field, and if you do, reduce this card's level by that monsters, but for the rest of the turn, you cannot activate the effects of monsters with the same name the same monster had in the graveyard. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn during your opponent's main phase, which is a quick effect, you can synchro summon using this card you control. This card is actually really nutty because you can go Riser Dragon, trigger the effect, ditch Staple in, and basically Riser Dragon becomes level 4. Or you can send Remoten to your graveyard, and he becomes hold on. Oh, he's level 7. So if you were to send Staple into your graveyard, Riser essentially becomes level 3. Remoten, he becomes level 4, or even any of your 1-star monsters, he becomes level 6. Send Scannon, he becomes level 1. Basically to just help you go into any of your other of your synchros that you may have at your disposal, which is really cool. Next up, we have the one Coral Dragon, which basically can just pop cards on your opponent's board, and if it were to be sent to the graveyard, you get to draw a card, which is really nice. We have the F.A. Don Draxler for obviously even more further negation, which basically, given the fact that he's level 7, he basically just gives you three negations on board, which is really nice. We have the Power Tool Mecha Dragon, which if you equip if you were to equip Mecha Dragon with any of the equips that they may have at your disposal, you get to draw a card, which is really nice. And not only that, it also has an effect where it reads, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one appropriate face-up equipped card on the field, equip that target to this card. So you can target, let's say, if the ruling is correct, you can target the Morphtronic. You can target the Double Tool C and D onto Mecha Dragon, and Mecha Dragon gains all the effects of Power Tool of Double Tool C and D, which is really nice. Then of course we have the 2 Power Tool Dragon to help thin out the deck even more. Get all of the equip spells out so you can go into your monsters really quickly. We have the Lifestream Dragon to help ensure that you take no effect damage, and you basically get to banish one of your equipped spells from your grave, so you can protect Lifestream Dragon from being destroyed, which is really nice. Which can help you go into, funny enough, this next one that I'm going to talk about right now, Power Tool Braver Dragon. So Lifestream Dragon plus Self-On, you instantly have Power Tool Braver Dragon, which is a very busted card. So the effect of Braver Dragon reads, if this card is supposed to summon, you can equip up to 3 equipped spells with different names from your deck and or graveyard to this card. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can send one of your equipped spells equipped to this card to the grave, target one effect monster on the field, either change the battle position or negate the effect until the end of the turn. Basically, it basically becomes another imperm, basically. So you can basically, so with this, you can do Mage Power, you can do double Mage Power C and D, or pretty much one of all 3 equips that they have at your disposal. Equip it to Braver Dragon. You basically have, you have 5 infinite impermanences, which is pretty insane. Then, of course, we've got the Dragon Max. We have Navy Dragon Mac and Vermilion Dragon Mac. Navy Dragon Max effect reads, if this card is supposed to summon, you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of tuners in your grave, negate their effects until the end of the turn. Basically, it's essentially another infinite impermanence, which is really cool. If this synchro summon card is destroyed by card effects sent to the grave, you can target a tuner in your grave, add it to your hand. Basically, this acts as another infinite impermanence, but what's even more cool is that Vermilion Dragon Mac lets you pop cards on your opponent's board, breaking their board as well, which is really nice. But what's interesting about Vermilion is that unlike Navy, when Vermilion is sent to the graveyard, you get to target one of your banished tuners and add it to your hand. So I apologize, guys. Apparently, a big ass truck decided to pass by. Anyway, so to recap the Dragon Max, Navy Dragon Max acts as a I know I said imperm, but it acts so. Dragon Max essentially becomes a dark ruler no more, and you get to add a tuner from your grave back to your hand. Dragon Mag pop breaks boards, and when it's sent to the grave, you can add one of your banished tuners back to your hand, which is really nice. We've got the Ally of Justice Decisive Armor to help further the damage, but also to basically pop cards that your opponent set in an instant. But it all depends on whether or not your opponent has a light monster on board, which is really cool. And then of course the Geomathematic Final Sigma as just a way to just blow out your opponent, which is really insane. The side deck is not what you would expect, but it's pretty good. So just like I have the two Ash Blossom in the main, in the side I have the two Ghost Belle, the two Ghost Ogre, and the two Ghost Mourner. Obviously you guys know Ash Blossom focuses on the deck. Belle focuses on the graveyard. Ogre focuses on the board, and then Ghost Mourner basically acts as an effect veiler on steroids, which is really nice. We have the one call by because obviously you want your place to go through, and then of course we have another card that you guys are probably thinking, wait a minute, why this card? It is known as FA Test Run, because of the fact that, now here's my theory, the fact that Don Draxter is a level 7 is a slap in the face. You want to have at least four negations with Don Draxter. So Test Run's effect reads: target one FA monster you control changes the battle position, then destroy a card on the field. During your main phase, except the turn the card was sent to the grave, you can banish the card from your grave. Target a face-up card you control, destroy, and if you do, special summon an FA monster from your deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. You're not using Test Run for the second effect. You're only using it for its first effect to pop one of your opponent's cards, but to mainly increase Don Draxter's level by one because of its effect, which reads: each time an FA spell or trap or effect is activated, increases the card's level by 1. So it essentially becomes a level 8, and you instantly have 4 negations on board with just by activating Test Run, which is really cool. We have the 2 copies of Break Draw, which helps obviously with the Power Tool Dragons, because obviously it is a machine, and whenever it destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you get to draw a card, which is really nice. It's essentially a Moray of Greed, but you're not sending cards back into your main deck or your extra deck. You're just drawing the 3 cards because of the fact that during your third end phase, after activation, it gets sent to the graveyard. So that's why I actually have 2 of them. And then of course we have the 1 copy of Life Extreme, which basically works with Power Tool Dragon, Power Tool Mega Dragon, or even also Braver Dragon as well, which is really cool. Only 1 copy though, because I needed room for the traps that are in the deck, which I'll get to that here in a second. So the effect of Life Extreme reads: equip only to an Earth Synchro. If it battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster loses 1500 attack during damage count only. Once per turn, if the battle position of a monster is changed, except during the damage step, you can target a card on the field, destroy it. If this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the grave, you contribute 1 Power Tool Synchro, special summon Lifestream Dragon from your extra deck, which is treated as a Synchro summon. Basically, it's a way to help summon out Lifestream Dragon, and then to help go into the Braver Dragon, or even also the Dragon Mechs if you wanted to as well. But what's cool about this is that your opponent's monster loses 1500 attack, which they could end up losing even more life points depending on what your opponent's monster is, which is really nice. And then as I said, it helps summon Lifestream Dragon, which is insanely broken. And then for the traps, we've got the 2 Goes in Match, obviously because of the fact that most of the Morphtronics are Earth. In fact, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15 Earths, and 5 Light monsters, and 2 Fire, and it just basically forces your opponent to not play any Yu-Gi-Oh at all, which is hilarious. And then of course the 2 Solemn Warnings. So guys, that's gonna do it for this deck profile. Honestly, the deck is absolutely solid. It just helps you win games within like a couple turns, which is insane. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys did, I know it was a little long. I do apologize, but if you guys enjoyed this deck profile and you guys want to see more in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram, as I always post the deck lists on my Instagram. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.